was raw strength only once before. It didn't scare me enough then. It does now.
The wait is over for Star Wars fans. The latest addition to the sci-fi franchise Star Wars, The Last Jedi, is now in theaters. With more on this and other new releases, and yes, there are new releases this week other than Star Wars, I want to bring in film critic Richard Crouse. Good morning to you, Richard. It's Star Wars is what everybody's talking about.
If you see stormtroopers walking down the street, don't worry, they're just going to see the movie. The end of the world has not come.
People take this so seriously.
They do. Well, they take this seriously to the tune of this weekend they're estimating about $200 million at the box office.
Wow.
So that gives you sort of an idea of how anticipated this is. And I think it's going to be worth the wait. It's a bit long. It's about 2 hours and 20 minutes. And for me, around the 2-hour mark, it started to feel just a little bit long. But before that, it's pretty terrific stuff. Once again, it's the story of good versus evil. But there's a lot of layers of nuance this time. People are trying to figure out what exactly does it mean to be good, what does it mean to be evil, what are the repercussions, what happens if I fully embrace the dark side. You've got Daisy Ridley back as Rey, the character introduced in The Force Awakens. She's tremendous. She really is kind of the beating heart of these movies as she becomes a new Jedi. Adam Driver back as Kylo Ren, the guy who's kind of like trying to figure out whether he's Darth Vader or whether he wants to be something else, go a different direction. Plenty of good action. There's a couple of new characters, but really the director here, Rian Johnson, has taken a franchise that we all know, or many of us know, inside and out, and sort of tweaked it just a little bit, but still kind of hung on to that nostalgic feeling that you really want from these films. For those of us who saw it on the first time around, we want to be sort of reminded of that, but also pushed into the future, and this movie does that.
Right, and of course, Richard, we can't forget, we see Carrie Fisher.
We do. Carrie Fisher in her last completed performance. And, you know, there's a really lovely dedication to her at the end of the movie. Princess Leia is a great character, and once again in this movie, you know, she goes out in this film as her last performance, as Carrie Fisher's last performance, as a pillar of kind of strength and a real role model, I think, for young girls everywhere.
Okay, so we gave Star Wars...
I gave Star Wars 4 out of 5 stars.
4 out of 5 stars. Okay. The next movie is Ferdinand.
Yeah, this is based on a children's book, which apparently is one of the best-selling children's books of all time. I'm not aware of it, but it's the story of a bull who doesn't want to go in the bull ring. He and fight matadors. He wants to smell the flowers. It came out in 1936, the book, and was thought of as being an ode to pacifism around the time of the Spanish Civil War, around the time of Franco. Hitler denounced it as degenerate propaganda. Instead, though, this movie is a lovely film for kids that's about being yourself. It's about standing up to bullies. It's about not letting little things get you down. It's colorful. It's fun. I think kids will really like it, although very little kids may be troubled by a couple of scenes that happen in the latter part of the movie. There's a meatpacking plant scene and the climactic bullfight, which might be just a little bit too much for the really little ones, but I saw it in an audience of kids and they loved it.
Okay, good to know. So we gave that one
3.5 out of 5
stars. And finally, Call Me by Your Name.
This is going to be nominated for Oscars. So if you're one of those people that has to see everything that's nominated for Oscars, go see it. It's Armie Hammer playing an American student who goes to study with his professor in a beautiful villa in Italy for the summer, kind of a working vacation. There he meets the son of the professor, played by Timothée Chalamet, who's tremendous in this. And if you saw Lady Bird, you also saw her or saw him in that. In this film, they start a romance. It's a first romance story. It's a coming out story. It is the story of what happens when you have your first big, intense love affair, and then it ends. And there is a scene at the end of this movie where the young man's father sits him down and has a discussion about what happens when your heart gets broken that's worth the price of admission alone. It's tremendous stuff.
Okay, 4 stars.
Absolutely.
Richard Crouse, thank you so much. Great to talk to you, and we'll see you next week.
Thanks, Marcia.